Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast out of NRL Supercoach Round 21, proudly brought to you by Mortgage Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams, and I'd love to say that this is a Dylan Edwards safe space where we just don't bring up that name. Unfortunately, on a Supercoach podcast, we cannot do that. Here to talk through it with me, the not as high-flying as normal SC Spy. Spy, mate, the train's derailed a bit. It was about time as well.
It was about time. I did say last week that it would probably come crashing down soon. And it did.
Didn't it ever?
We had, you know what? Firstly, Thursday night, I had a shocking night's sleep Wednesday night. Which is all right. These things happen. I was pretty tired, a bit cranky, whatever. Then I get an email, have to move house. Where we're renting, they're selling. I'm like, that actually sucks so much. Anyway, all good. But that took me into Friday. Some bad vibes. I'm like, it's not good for Supercoach. Like, you know how I talk about I'm superstitious?
You're a big energy man.
I'm like, if I'm feeling good and things are going well, I'm like, I'm sweet. My boys will score a few offloads or whatever. I'm like, this is not good. It's bad. I was in panic mode. Anyway, Friday night at 6, all good because I watch, you like this, Tommy, 6 o'clock Friday, me and Charlie, the young fella, who's 5 down, nearly 6, he's been watching the Friday 6 o'clock game with me upstairs, and I freaking love it. So he passes the footy to me as well during it. Like, this is great, happy days. But because of that, and I will not make it an excuse, but just a reason that I didn't look about it. No, you're right. I wouldn't have brought in Dylan Edwards, I don't think, but I didn't realise his ownership because I had my phone on delay as a result for the late game. Didn't check till after. I was like, holy shit, he's so highly owned with like 35% captain. I was like, that's not good. But it might have perked me up. That's all right. Didn't get him. That's on me. Nico got knocked out. So I'm like, that's all right. As long as no one else goes down. Tino lasts about 6 minutes. I'm like, this is a disaster. So anyway, after all that, I've dropped from 180 to 430, which is actually pretty good. Like, I think it shows that I built up a pretty good base to work with.
What'd you score?
Oh, I don't even know, 1120 or something maybe.
Bloody hell. I scored more than you and dropped more.
But that's how far ahead I was of the people below me.
There must be some weird gap around that top 400-500 that was forming. Yeah.
That's why last week I was like, I'm 180, but I'm like a very high 180. I was like, maybe I can win it or go top 10. Those dreams are dashed.
And it's good.
But yeah, still aim for, I still want to beat my top 91. I think that'd be good. Good target. I'm about 280 points off that, which isn't too bad. But speaking of superstition, I can now reveal a stat, which I'm very proud of. I wasn't able to tell you. But post Ruben Garrick gate, when I didn't pick him, and I'm like, I'm setting up my side for a reason. I've got logic to this. I went up until last weekend 16 straight weeks without dropping rank. Green arrows for 16. That's why I could never say it, because like, as soon as I say it, I'm done. So that monkey's off the back anyway.
The bubble's burst.
The bubble has burst in dramatic style. But yeah, it's going all right. So I'm pretty proud of that one because I don't think I'll ever do that again. And I do think on the back of that, when Ruben Garrett scored his 4 tries, I kept saying to myself, this has set up my side so well. I'm kind of still glad I did it. Obviously, I've said a few times, if he could have scored 1 try, it would have been even better. But anyway, that's where we're at, 430th. Got to jump back on the old trampoline.
Any other life updates or what young fella's up to before we introduce our special guest?
You better go.
All right, we'll move on. The original, the OG Supercoach guru, Tommy Sangster. Tommy, good to have you back, mate.
Good to be here, mate. Always a pleasure.
How's things?
Really good, really good. There's plenty happening at Supercoach HQ, which we'll get to in a sec.
Bloody oath.
But yeah, it's all happening. It's exciting times in Supercoach, in Fantasyland.
In Fantasyland and in reality, not even in Fantasyland, a bit of both, I guess. You were one of the smart ones to buy Dylan Edwards, so probably a good week.
Yeah, I got on, but I didn't put the captaincy on him. Still got the 170-odd points, or whatever it was. I think I'm going to captain him this week up against the Tigers. Just got that great schedule coming up for the next sort of 3 weeks or so. So just chuck him in, see what happens. He could kick goals, and if he doesn't kick goals, then I've got the other bloke who's going to kick goals in Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
So
Paul Alamotti.
I'll have the Panthers. Apparently not there this week. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
What I'll give Alamotti to come in and kick goals ahead of Cleary.
I thought he was kicking last week, wasn't he?
So did I, yeah. We can point a few fingers, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
Wonder I didn't look hard at him.
Show. Anyway, also with us, as always, Matty, the Waterboy. I don't know if I asked you, Matty, but did you jump on the Edwards bandwagon or not?
No, I got on Teddy, so yeah,
oh, no.
I know.
You broke him.
Well, the thing was, as I've said a million times, I didn't get Teddy because I thought I was thinking in 4D chess. I was like, Dylan Edwards is banged up. He might not play the whole Origin series. Teddy's going straight in. For that race, I didn't get him. It obviously cost me. I thought, all right, well, I have to get him for the run home now. And then after I said that on this show and on your other show with Guru, I had people like DMing me saying, "No, don't get him. Don't get him. Trust me, don't get him." And I was like, I think I have to get him. So I should have listened to both of those people.
What was the reasoning? Just that they'd seen that you looked a bit busted and run out of steam? Or what were they trying to say?
Yep, and their run home's horrendous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they. I mean, it's only 1 week. I think I'm still happy I have him for the run home. I'd be very nervous if I didn't. But, yeah. And not to mention, Dylan Edwards did it against South. So, oh well.
Tough weekend, mate. You busted Tedesco, Rue busted Papenhuyzen. For myself, 1,160 points. It was a pretty disastrous week as well. Yeah, you mentioned Spy, you dropped 300 spots or something. I dropped about 750 spots to 2,600th overall and scored more than you. So, mate, I'm basically rinse and repeat yourself, mate. I had an opportunity to go Papenhuyzen and Dylan Edwards. I was very close to pulling the trigger. The word about him potentially not kicking was, I'm like, you know what, I had eyes on Nathan Cleary this week. Maybe I'll avoid. Did it, but no excuses. I didn't pull the trigger, obviously. Had Britton Nikora, had Tino Malawi, had Keon, who everyone had Keon, so that's fine. Yep. But injuries piling up. You had Dill Lucas to that one as well, that a lot have. So they're starting to add up, the little injuries. But yeah, 1,160, not a great week. Terrell May, I'll skip it on Sunday with 105 points. So that got me out of a little bit of strife on the captaincy brigade.
I flipped my captaincy coin wrong as well. Kiraz, ended up going Kiraz, just chasing that 150, and he went all right, 73, but then an early Terrell May try assist. It's just how it goes, eh?
What was your advice on Saturday afternoon from your closest confidant?
I wasn't speaking to Sangster on Saturday, but...
Don't chase Edwards' points.
Oh, no, I like the Kiraz matchup regardless. I'm actually filthy, I only got one, to be honest. Anyway. The other reason I kept Edwards, I didn't get Edwards because I was keen to hold Papy, which has worked out well.
Anyway, enough of that.
Just for a week or two.
On today's show, guys, Teamless Tuesday Supercoach pointers. Nathan Cleary does return. Ryan Papenhuyzen does not return. He's gone for about the 4th week in a row. Topic for today, we're going to have a little bit of a chat, a pretty minor Sangster Q+A. Ask him a few of the big questions, some big stuff going on in the Supercoach world and moving forward. We'll get to that one shortly. Topic for the show, Maxi Bryden's going to make a guest cameo chatting head-to-head finals, fixture analysis, the teams with the best and worst draws going into head-to-head finals at the business end of the season. Our hot topics for the show, looking at Haas, Cleary, Edwards, who's the priority buy among so many good trade options this week. Our round 21 trade plans, our skipper plans, our sit v starts, then our listener questions to wrap it up. What feature from other fantasy sport competitions would you like to see added to Supercoach? Some good ideas for that one. Before we start, though, a shout-out to Wallabies lock Nick Frost. Frost is an SC Playbook subscriber. He's a Supercoach gun. And to emphasise that, currently 15th overall. He finished 45th back in 2022. Spy, you've been fanboying him, mate, in his DMs. You slid in?
I don't even DM me.
He slid into your DMs.
I'd have to check, but doing good stuff. Good player. Playing against the Lions is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's once in a lifetime, I'd suggest. But what a gun, yeah. 40-odd 2 years ago, top 15. He's very humble. I messaged him after the weekend and I was like, mate, just checking how you went. She said you were 50th or something. It's like, I got asked, I've got no web. He's like, yeah, I captained him. I'm like, going all right, top 15. I'm like, what? Top 15? So,
how would that be, Tommy? Starting Wallabies in their biggest series in what is every 20 years or 12 years that they play, the Lions, could win bloody Supercoach.
I love this story. It'll be sensational.
Yeah.
That the bloke from the rival code wins a fantasy sport from the different code.
Be good,
the last thing the AR you need.
I know, exactly.
You know, quick story on that. Our other superstar mate, Matty Ryan, who I haven't spoken to for a bit, bad check in, he must be plummeting.
I think he's fallen off a cliff.
No, he's on holidays, which is good.
He's a busy man, Matty. Yeah. Engaged, bub on the way.
Yep.
Bit happening with Matty Ryan.
Yeah, always looking for clubs. Soccer's hectic over there, or football. But it reminds me of about 3 months ago. I think it was after the Socceroos had played. And I messaged him something about maybe they qualified for the World Cup or something. I said, well done, mate. Congratulations. That's awesome. And his response was, what the F happened to Hopawati? Because he got knocked out.
Yeah, good man. So congratulations to Matty for everything that's going on in his life at the moment. Unlimited League leader, Baby Dale's coached by Matty. He retains his place in first First place overall. Currently, we have 8 of the top 10 overall, which is unreal. Paddy Mahomes, coached by Matt, top of the week with 1,560 points. Boys team list, Tuesday. Spy Billy Smith is out due to a concussion. Ethan King comes in at centre. Sandon Smith has been named at 5'8", something that probably should have happened a week ago, but here we are. Chad Townsend is gone. Hugo Savala has been named in the reserve, so keep an eye on that one. Spy, no Papenhuyzen at the Storm. Nick Meaney to fullback. Kane Bradley potentially becomes an AE nightmare. He's been named on the bench, which is not ideal. Spy, we have Papy. Time to cut ties. I know you are his biggest fan. Surely this is enough to cut ties.
It's a dark world when I'm cutting Ryan Papenhuyzen, but you might have to go.
You can't. Literally 45 minutes ago in the green room, you were considering holding him. Going, I just want him as a pod when he comes back.
He plays Para next week.
He probably won't come back for a month. Mate.
Well, that's the issue. If I knew he was back next week, I might just hold on for Para and see if he kicks. But we don't know if he's going to be back now. So it's such a blow.
He must have had some sort of setback because last week on his own podcast, which is great because he's always just talking honest about Supercoach and telling people what's going on and like completely giving it to the Storm medical staff, saying that, no, it was a strain the whole way. It wasn't tightness, it was a strain. Anyway, he must have had some sort of setback. I sold him as soon as I saw calf tightness and Ryan Papenhuyzen in the same sentence. I'm like, no, he's got to go. And it happened within, that was at like 7:50 on a Friday night. I think I saw that and just quickly did a little switch. Happy I did because they're never going to take any risks with Papenhuyzen whatsoever.
No need, is there? They just need him healthy for finals.
Shout out to the 167 podcast. Husey, Munster, Paps for chatting a bit of... Well, they weren't chatting Supercoach. They were chatting rugby league and they referenced Supercoach and all the Supercoaches wondering about Paps. But, yeah, may have sent it through us a curly one. He's too good a bloke. He wouldn't have done it intentionally. There must have been a setback.
I'd say so. But it's just so good that... they talk about Supercoach so much on that podcast.
Yeah. He told us he was goal kicking a few months ago.
Does he play?
He is a legend. I can only assume so because he's a legend.
We'll have to hit him up.
See if he plays Supercoach.
Yeah, get him as ambassador.
If he does, he doesn't own himself. He sold a month ago.
Just get him involved any way you can.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I in fact slid into Nick Frost's DMs.
Yes,
shocking that.
Who saw that coming?
I said, my first match was crashed over, mate. How good. That got things going.
Was that like 11:50 on a Saturday night, 6 whiskies down?
Oh, probably.
Lid off. Oh, she forgot to address the elephant in the room as well. I'm wearing a Dragons jersey, friend. I'm wearing it on YouTube. I completely forgot about that. Sangster, you can probably elaborate on that, mate.
Well, we had a bet at your event, the SC Playbook event, a month ago now, 3 weeks ago, which was a cracking day there at Allianz Stadium. The bet was that you backed Terrell May to outscore Mark Nwonanitawazi, who was my guy. He had outscored him until the 75th minute, I think it was. Nwonanitawazi scores a try and then I end up getting that bet. So you had to, for some reason, I'm a Dragons fan. My Dragon stuff's in storage at the moment, but for some reason it turns out that you have not one, but two Dragons jerseys just sitting in your wardrobe at home. What's the story there?
I feel so rank. I've had two. So recently my partner, her grandfather was a diehard Dragons supporter. I think he actually did the timekeeping or something, or the scoreboard. It might have been at Cogger Oval or one of those for many years. Anyway, this is his. And I also had from the Telegraph days a Dragons. They were giving out some NRL merch in the office. It must have come from somewhere. And I went over and I got there late and ended up with a Dragons jersey. It's been in my cupboard for 7 years unworn. I'm like, this is actually going to come in useful. But I've gone the retro one, which is much better, a bit tight around the old love handles. But it's, so punishment as you are a Dragons supporter.
Yes.
Well, I have to sit through and look like an idiot.
But I actually have, as I said, my Dragon stuff's in storage at the moment. But I had this one from literally when I was probably 7 years old, 6 years old. Dragons jersey that would come up to about here on me, even higher on you. It would be a bra on you. Dragons. And it actually has number 1 from Mick Potter on the back with Sangster written across the back. Imagine if you had to wear that. You've come out lightly.
The little Sangster Mick Potter tank top.
Yeah, exactly.
Far out. Speaking of the Dragons, that was a good segue by complete chance. Sione Finau is out. Corey Allen comes onto the wing at the Broncos. Payne Haas, he returns at prop from a rest. We'll get to him shortly. Heaps going on at the Eels. Isaiah Iongi is out. Joash Papali, I should say, at fullback. Mitchy Moses returns at halfback. Dill Brown, he's on the extended bench. Spy. Moses back on that right edge. Great news for Zach Lomax owners.
Yeah, Yongi out is not, though. Because he's a
that's
cracking
not
ball
ideal.
player. So I already own Lomax, so like obviously I'm happy, but I was excited to finally get a couple of key men, Mitch onto Yongi onto Lomax. I was like, happy days. I haven't watched a heap of Papy. Is it Papy?
It's
Josh?
Papy,
Yep.
I believe, yes.
So I don't know if he's a ball player, but I hope he is, because if he's a ball running fullback, all of a sudden Lomax loses a lot of that appeal.
Yep.
Which he'll obviously make in base, but
Moses
we want him
back
scoring
helps with
some
that.
meat pies.
Moses with that big Harbour Bridge left to right, that helps.
Yeah,
A
he'll get space in that right edge.
And the
but
kicking game.
Can they ice it? We'll see. Kicking game's handy, of course.
Comes up against the weak defensive edge of the Broncos as well, which is a big one this week because they're a lot weaker on their left. Warriors, Charles Cookstad returns at fullback. Tane Tuapiki is 18th man. Dave Fafita out for the Titans. Tino Fasua Malawi out for the Titans for a month. Sangster, it's getting interesting. Lots of injuries starting to creep up. Gone for a month, so people with trades obviously flip him. People running a bit low on trades. He might come back for the last 3 or so weeks. You a Tino owner?
Yeah, I own him. Plus got Keon as well. So lots of people have copped the double whammy. For me, I'm going Tino out. Well, and I'm selling Keon to enough as well and bringing in Lomax because I love seeing him with Mitchell Moses in the team. Basically, to replace whoever it is, Keon or Tino or whoever it happens to be, you just pick the gun that you don't own.
Yeah.
And for me, it happens to be Lomax. And I like the thing is, over Origin, you expect his average to dip. He's actually gone better over Origin. Plus, he's got Moses back. Plus, Joash Papali has been playing 5'8". So you would assume that his ball play is probably one of the better parts of his game.
I always get spooked by new combinations, though. It's like, how long are they going to take? But yeah, look, it's hardly the worst situation. I just hope, in fact, if he is ball playing well outside Mitch, it could be heyday.
Spy, you're a bit shorter on trades. You're looking at a potential Tino. Again, there's carnage everywhere between all these highly owned players, particularly 2RF's been shot to bits. You're looking at potentially getting rid of the likes of Lucas and Keon and just holding Tino? What's the plan?
Well, for I sell Tino, who was out 3 to 4 weeks, which, we'll see. Could be earlier, we don't know. Could be longer. But last week I already had Lucas down. I lost Kalomatangi, Nickera this week. Tino, so I've only got 2 back rowers. This is crazy. So before I even consider selling Tino Fasua Malaawi, mate, he can stay. He can just sit there. If he doesn't return this year, I'll just deal with it and I'll leave him there. But mate, it'd be pretty nice to own it sub 10% if he comes back healthy the last 4 or 5 weeks. It'd be pretty handy. So, I mean, we've got to remember he's averaging 80 plus as a healthy Tino. So I don't hate that, but there's far bigger problems for me than getting rid of him.
It's crazy how quickly trade plans have changed in the last about 10 days. Blokes that I was looking at getting rid of, Adam Fanua-Blake, Zach Hosking, there are a couple others in there as well that now, this normally happens about around 24 or 25. It's almost become like, I've got warm bodies, they're fit, they
have to do
elite, but they're not far off it, and you just hold them right, Tommy.
I feel like it has been. Well, I've got 10 trades, so I'm obviously going to be using them all. I've been waiting for this to happen.
Me too,
I've been
mate.
waiting for this carnage.
I've been waiting since last year when it didn't happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, this year it's been what I would call a very easy year, Supercoach wise. A lot of the guns haven't got injured at all. It's been pretty good on that behalf. But the last 2 weeks have just been hectic. So I'm just praying for more and more injuries with the 10 trades. It'll be 8 after this week, but that's one, let's call it 1 trade a week for the run home, which I'm pretty happy with.
I'm with you, mate. Let it rain. Yeah. It's ideally not to all my players, but for the most part, I know there's some people out with bugger all trades getting very nervous. So we'll see how that one plays out. At the Panthers, Nathan Cleary returns. Scotty Sorensen out. Brian To'o named, which is interesting. I thought he'd be 100 to 1. Look, still probably in doubt, but they'll see how he goes through the week. Limped off with a knee injury last week. At the Rabbitohs, Kevin Koloamatangi, he's gone for the season. He can be traded. Jamie Humphries is out. Lewis Dodd gets a crack at halfback.
Finally.
It
took him a while.
It took 30 blokes at the bunnies to get injured for him to go, let's play a $700,000 recruit.
It's a bit like Supercoach. Some blokes this week, I'm like, I better give you a run, mate. You've earned it.
Yeah.
Gray at fullback's interesting too for draft people as well. He's very lowly owned, and I've got a sneaky waiver. Yeah, I've got a sneaky little waiver.
Get on it.
On him this week.
You top of the charts, mate? You getting the first
I'm
pick?
4th in that league, but I think I've scored the 2nd most points off the top of my head. So, yeah, just haven't got the results.
Is top 4 critical for you? Do you reckon?
Yeah, well, it's a top
In
8
the setup?
league.
So you
Our
need-
setup's top 8. So
Do you want a home final or just top 4 will do?
Look, I really don't care. Like, as long as I don't get too many injuries in the back end for that. But cutting and trading's over.
Wouldn't
for
that be an interesting change to head-to-heads where there was some sort of benefit for getting the home final
Yeah.
and finish 1-2
In draft.
finish 1-2 and finish 5-6? So in your
50
draft and head-to-head overall,
Yeah, 50 points or something for the
you
week.
get 50 points for the home final. You could do something cool around it.
But it could be
would ruin the integrity of the competition.
No.
We'll get to some changes for the competition
Yeah.
later. But
Do you know why-
I feel that would ruin the
Do you
integrity.
know why
of
it
the
won't,
competition.
Tommy? It's because you customise it. You choose if you want to do it in your league, you can, but you don't have to.
It's a great addition.
That'd be cool. I'd do it.
Tommy,
Home final, 50 points.
Make
It's just another rule on top of everything else, and we need to be really careful about how many new rules we bring in.
you're too busy giving Herbie Farmworth unicorns, mate. You don't have time for new rules, do you?
Well, we've got a lot going on at Supercoach HQ right now.
I know,
Put it
I
that
know.
way.
For those out there that think Tommy pulls all the strings and gives people updates, I have an exclusive. He does not. He has nothing to do with it. Guys, moving on, Team List Tuesday. Jesse Ramian returns for the Sharkies. Britton Nickera is out, which is disappointing with a gun matchup for the Sharkies. Billy Burns on the edge. Britton Nickera, that head knocks are only out a week, you would imagine. Seb Chris is out for the Raiders. Simi Sasangi is at centre. This is good news for Zach Hosking, who minutes start to drop off with Hudson Young back from Origin, with Sasangi playing such good footy. So should ensure 80 minutes or close enough to 80 for Zach Hosking. Jermaine McEwen named on the edge for the Knights. Bronson Sherry returns at centre for the Doggies. Rinakama, he is out, dropped for that reason. And Hamole Olakuatu returns for the Manly Ringer Seagulls. Now, Tommy, don't have to spend too much time on it, but just a couple of questions for the Supercoach public while we do have the chance and have you on the show. And the first one that everyone wants to know, is the Supercoach spy responsible for the flex being added, or is he talking out his backside?
I love this question. He certainly sent me an email. We were already, it was already going to happen before.
Oh, please. No.
Before you were
Got
talking
him.
about it, but it was a rule in draft the year before. You have to remember.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
So then we tested it out in draft, and then we brought it across to Classic. Plus, we tested it
In
out
cricket.
in cricket, in BBL too. So, are you responsible? I wouldn't. You definitely contributed. Put it that way.
Sounds like a yes to me.
Are you responsible? No. Did you send an email? Yes.
Did I ambush you with the email? Maybe.
No, well, you told
No,
me.
I did ask you.
It.
I did ask you.
Have you
No, it
got?
was already in the works, but you probably rammed it home.
Have you gotten through Spy's 54-page document of potential changes that he sent?
I'll resend the updated version later, Tommy.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's a rolling dock, that one. I reckon.
Tommy, a really big one for Supercoaches, and I reckon the vast majority wouldn't actually know about this just yet, but Vapor Media, and you'll be able to explain this a little bit more, but Vapor Media, who own the game and run the game and create it, and were essentially responsible for any changes that you'd pass on to them. News Corp have purchased Vapor Media. Not Vapor Media, sorry. They've purchased Supercoach, the platform from Vapor Media. Is that right?
They purchased Vapor Media, the company.
Vapor Media, there you go.
So it's good news because it means we now own the technology around Supercoach, which we never did before. So it means lots of exciting opportunities coming up. I've been sworn to secrecy. Every time I come on this podcast and other podcasts, I get roasted because I give too much away.
Yeah.
You
right.
can certainly look out for some new games in rugby league. So
Amazing.
like shorter form games. And you can certainly look out for other games in other sports too. But I can't give any details. But there's definitely lots happening in Supercoach right now.
Sounds very
How
cool.
good. Some expansion in our Supercoach sports.
Yeah.
Spy, what else can you cover for us, mate?
Just in terms of questions, or
No, sports. If Supercoach expand
Oh.
to badminton, tennis, golf, what can you do
badminton,
for us?
golf would be pretty fun. Monday morning finishes.
How fun would Supercoach golf be for
That'd
the
be
majors?
sweet. Definitely for the majors. WNRL would be good.
You could do Supercoach NBA for us.
There is a version of it I did last year. Might be the same company. Sports Deck, are they sort of related? I don't know, but it's the same sort of layout. So I did it last year and it was awesome. So Mate, throw them all out. I'll do them all.
You'll be getting a pay rise, mate, with all this new content you have to cover.
Yeah, get them all going, Tom.
Tommy, slow updates. It's the gripe of all super coaches. Talk to us.
Look, I knew that you'd ask this question, and I'm going to be completely a politician about it. I'm going to be the Anthony Albanese and say that it's a big gripe. It's probably the number one gripe in Supercoach right now. Like I go to your event a couple of weeks ago, any Supercoach event, it's the number one thing that people bring up. So would we be stupid not to act on something that is the number one gripe? We would be. So
in theory, yes.
It's something that we're definitely in the works. And any ideas, we take on all feedback, all your stuff, no matter what it is, all feedback we'll take on, because the number one thing that we want to do is to just improve the user experience for Supercoach. Obviously, updates is one of those, but I can't go into any detail on what that might be, but it's something we're looking at.
Yeah, the team very good, mate, over there at as you said, taking on board feedback and those sorts of things, and have been for a number of years. So we'll keep an eye out for that one in the future. Anything to add, Spy, or are we right?
Do I get to ask him a question now?
You ask him whatever. Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. I don't have to answer this. One would be, does it change anything in who provides the stats and all that, or it's exactly the same, but you control the...
In terms of, well, we've got a company that we hire to do the stats.
Yep.
That's well, we don't really hire them because we own them.
Oh, gotcha.
That's Fox Sports Lab.
Yep, gotcha. Perfect. And my question was, don't laugh at me, I already wrote this before we talked. Hypothetically, if I was to come up with a banger of an idea over the off-season...
Yes.
And I told you and you went, that's actually awesome. Could you and the guys and girls then go, yeah, we can add it in because we own it, potentially?
Yeah.
Because I remember last year you're like, oh, we can't do anything up to a certain date.
I mean, a lot of... I can't... if it's an absolute banger of an idea that no one's thought of...
yeah. What I mean is...
probably unlikely.
The capability...
We can pull...
You've got the capabilities.
We've got the capability to do it. We can pull stuff late. But yeah, I mean, generally, planning's already well in full swing for
in advance
as well. Yeah.
You're off the hook, mate. That's all.
Yeah.
We won't pep you anymore, Tommy. You've taken enough from us, guys. Fantasy Rugby League betting, speaking of updates, is here. Thanks to our mates over at BetBuzz. We've been working behind the scenes of late to get fantasy markets up and running, and it all starts this weekend. There'll be key stat areas such as points scored, try assists, line breaks, tackle breaks, and offloads, and you'll be able to multi these markets together. So basically the markets, they're going to pin key players together in each position each week. For example, Reece in the fullback spot, you'll be able to go Reece Walsh v Scotty Drinkwater versus James Tedesco. Simply back the player you think will score the most fantasy points to cash in on it. The stats are taken, this is important, from NRL.com. Speaking of, this is important for Supercoaches because they differ slightly to Fox Sports stats, where we get our Supercoach stats from. So nothing majorly different, but there is a little tweak there. It comes from the NRL.com scoring. I'll be previewing these markets with my top picks each and every week. Elite work from the team there. They look after the punters and the SC Playbook punters in particular. To check them out and follow our bets, head to the link in the show description or across our social channels later in the week. Find BetBuzz in the App Store. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Topic for today's show, boys, head-to-head finals fixture analysis. I'm going to throw to Maxi Bryden for this one. Now, we recorded this later last week when Maxi was in studio. He's put the absolute curse on, I think, Britton Nickera, maybe Latrell Mitchell, who have been injured in the meantime. But in terms of the head-to-head fixture strength, it all stands up. So just don't plan to get Latrell in your team because Maxi told you to. We'll throw to him now. Maxi Bryden, a warm welcome back to the podcast. You're a hard man to catch these days. You're working your ring off in the background for SC Playbook, leading the charge in the WhatsApp group, but getting you in studio, it's getting tougher and tougher because you're a family man these days, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Timo. Early mailman this year, and early's probably the operative word. Sometimes those Tuesday nights are a little bit hard for me to push, but no, mate, I'm happy to be here and happy to be talking about one of my most favourite things in all the world.
Well, that's it, mate. We've got you in studio today because we've just recorded at a more friendly hour for you, the Cricketers Playbook podcast, popping off. Check that one out as well. But Maxi, head-to-head finals fixture analysis, one of the most important topics to talk about. And as we begin our run home and our final trades for the back end of the season, it's something that we do need to look at. I did want to get on show, and whilst I could do it or Spy could do it, you're a head-to-head man. You're very good at what you do there. That being said, you're flying in overall as well, aren't you?
Yeah, not doing too bad. I'm as we speak in the 600s, which is nice. Only got the 4 trades left, which I know you like to make fun of me for. But team's good. Depth is good. Got a couple of pods, so hopefully charging towards a good finish at the end of the year.
Are you nervous about the 4 trades? Because you don't seem it, but you should be.
No, this is certainly the closest I've ever flown to the sun. I think even most years I usually finish the buy period and I've got about 9 left. This year I finished the buy period and I had 6 left.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy with the depth. I'm really happy with how I've set up. I've got all of the popular players except Tino I've gone against, but I've got Hudson Young, I've got Dane Gagai as well down there in my CTW. So unless there's absolute carnage, which I know you're praying for, as you typically
pray
do
for it
each
every year, mate.
I should be fine, mate. But look, talk to me in maybe 3-4 weeks and we'll reassess.
Now, Maxie, head-to-head finals. So we'll preface by saying pre-recorded prior to the weekend. The head-to-head strength of schedule for finals, that won't change. But if there's any specific players mentioned that happen to be out and they do their angle this weekend, that's why. But Maxie, first thing is first. Fixtures, head-to-head finals. I suppose, firstly, what weeks are we talking about for head-to-head finals and why do fixtures matter across head-to-head finals? Why do we need to look at them?
Yeah, so most people will be playing their head-to-head finals across rounds 23 to 26, which is the most popular format. But depending on your league settings, you could be playing 22 to 25 or even 24 to 27, running the absolute gauntlet of those potential mass restings that happen at the end of the year. It's all set up there in your league settings. So the first thing to do is really just check in your league what you're playing. But most people will be playing 23 to 26. And fixtures, why do they matter? Look, we know that particularly as we get to the end of the season, some teams will be firmly in Bali. Like they'll have one foot on the plane. They might even be over there at Mississippi just really pre-ordering a few margies. But what that means is that defences start to open up. We've got some teams charging towards the finals, pushing for the top 4, and some guys really checking out. And we know that when we see a good team play a team who can't defend or a poorer team, we're going to see an increase in scoring. We know that in every game of Supercoach, typically a team is going to score about 700 to 750 Supercoach points across the board. When you play a hard team, that might reduce to as low as 600 points across the board. And if you absolutely smash a team, you might be scoring 900 to 1,000 points across the board, right? Like we're talking about variables of 200 to 300 points between a good defensive side and a bad defensive side. And when you look at it purely statistically, if 200 points difference between versing a good team and a bad team divided by the 17 players that are out there on the field, it's almost 10 points per player that are on offer, which could be the difference between a guy who can average 60 or 70 or a guy who could average between 40 and 60 in some of these weeks. So it is really important to look at your fixtures, and if you can gain an advantage of 10% on a player because he's got easy matchups, and that could be the difference between you winning your league or going home early.
And mate, to that point, the nature of each position changes across the Supercoach season. We saw this year that had you have locked in Terrell May or Payne Haas, wherever it might have been, as skippers early on in the season, you're probably laughing. You probably would have come out in front of Supercoach rivals. To the back end of the season, though, when these softer matchups emerge, it becomes like a fullback that might have a gun matchup and the 150 becomes on the radar. And as I said, the nature of each position changes as the season moves on. So what are the positions that are most impacted at the back end of the season that you want to be targeting for matchups?
It's a great question, and I think you're right. It has been the year of the front rower, but this time of the year, like this is where you're going to start to see those big boys at the back really making a difference in your league. Typically, we see the most variance in matchups between the CTWs, right? And it's obvious. These are the guys who score the tries. They're the pretty boys out the back who are putting the ball over the line, getting those 17-point tries, getting those 30-point plays with a line break and a run, maybe even a 40-point play if you're Herbie Farnworth and you bust about 5 tackles and have an offload in there as well, man. I know you don't own him yet.
Well, we've pre-recorded this prior to the weekend, and Herbie only scored 34 on the weekend, so we're all good. Against the Cowboys, Purdue just really did a good defensive job on him, so there's nothing to worry about.
Nice. If that is the case, man, we might be pre-recording how my VC went on the weekend, in which case I didn't loop. But look, to that point, we do see a little bit of variation as well between some of the attacking second rowers, and we know the guys out there who are the try scorers and who aren't the try scorers, but you're going to get these greater increased chances of getting over the line. The other place is also the halves, the guys who are setting up these tries, your 5'8", your halfbacks. Typically, we won't see too much of a variance between front row forwards. Fullbacks, yes, of course, they're obviously going to have a greater impact. Hook is probably the weird one this year because I think that traditionally it is a bit of a meat and potatoes position, unless your name's Blake Brailey. Yeah. And the way that he's playing at the moment with the Sharks' softer draw, we'll get to it soon, but he could potentially be one of those guys who makes a little bit of a point of difference. All
right, mate. So lay it out for us, the teams with the best and the worst draws. As you said, we are focusing on rounds 23 to 26. They're the default settings when you create your leagues that the vast majority of Supercoach leagues will have. Go and check your settings for when your league is set up for finals. But we are basing on 23 to 26. Max, you've done a fantastic article on the SC Playbook website that'll be on our homepage for the rest of the season. And it breaks down the best and worst draws for all final systems, whether it's 22 to 26, 23 to 22 to 25, 23 to 26, or 24 to 27. It's all there, so go and check that out based on your system. We're going to focus on 23 to 26, who have the best and worst draws.
So 23 to 26, looking at the good draws for these teams, the first side who really stand out is the New Zealand Warriors. They start off difficult in 23 with a game against the Bulldogs, but then how's this for their final three matches? Dragons, Titans and Eagles. It literally couldn't get any better. Three teams who by this stage are going to be most likely completely out of contention for finals footy. Probably, particularly like the Eels have shown recently, with a view towards next year. Could be new players, new combinations. So the Warriors really stand out. The next side is the Eels themselves. Despite where they are on the table, they're still finding some decent attacking football. They've got the Cowboys and Rabbitohs in their first two games of head-to-head finals, and they've got the Roosters and the Warriors. So the Roosters and the Warriors, good teams, but defensively there's still question marks around them. The next side to highlight is the Rabbitohs. Now, the first thing that you'll notice when you hear this Rabbitohs draw is that they've got a bye in round 26, which is your head-to-head grand final. So if you are swayed to tempted to bring in any Rabbitohs players, you need to keep in mind that you won't have them for your grand final. But before that, Titans, Eels and Dragons, which is absolutely amazing. It mirrors the Warriors. Mitt. Yeah, but big troll Mitt. He could be a defining factor for a lot of people in head-to-head. The Dolphins have got a pretty good run as well, mostly because they don't play any tough teams. They've got the Roosters, Broncos, Sea Eagles, and they finish in 26 with the Titans as well. So if you don't own Herbie by then, mate, he'll be absolutely burying you in the SC Playbook.
Herbie will come in, mate. He'll be in by finals time, don't you worry. I'm willing to swallow my pride on Herbie. I just need to wait till the time is right, and hopefully his price is not $915,000.
Yeah, it's a fair call. It just seems like it's never not going to be that, though.
Post-Warriors.
Three more teams whose draws I like. The Titans, again, no massively easy ones. They've got the Rabbitohs in 23, but no hard ones either. The Sharks, Warriors and Dolphins. I mean, they're teams who on their day can be good defensively, but we know the Titans, they play a lot of arvo games. There should be some points in them. The Cows, their draw's getting better by the week. They've got the Eels, the Knights, the Tigers and the Broncos. The Eels and the Tigers being the real highlights in 23 and 25. And the Sea Eagles. Now, they were the big preseason favourites when it came to looking ahead to head-to-head finals. And yes, we do look at head-to-head finals in preseason, particularly when you play your drafts.
Especially draft
like
players.
I like to. But, mate, their draw's getting better. They've got the Raiders in 23, which is difficult. 24, they've got the Tigers. 25, the Dolphins. And then they finish their head-to-head grand finals against the Dragons. So don't sleep on Tommy Trbojevic.
Yep.
Now, I want to mention firstly the bad draws as well, because if there are going to be good teams out there are going to be teams who have tougher draws. The first one is the Penrith Panthers. They've got the Knights, Storm, Raiders and Bulldogs. So arguably the best four defensive teams in the entire competition. We know the Knights potentially may drop away as the season goes on, just with their mounting injury toll. But Storm, Raiders and Bulldogs, those guys are all, like, that's essentially the top four all playing each other. It's going to be made for great television, but potentially bad Supercoach. The Broncos, they got a good grand final up against the Cowboys, but then in between that, I've got the Storm, Dolphins and Knights, which is difficult. And the final team with a tough draw is the Roosters. And mostly just because they've got the Melbourne Storm in their grand final, which is not what you want to see.
In Melbourne or Sydney? It's in Melbourne, isn't it?
It's in Melbourne, yeah. And they've in between that, they've got the Dolphins, who have had basically the stingiest defence for the last 2 months. The Bulldogs, they play the Eels in 25, which is a green light matchup. But, yeah, it's pretty tough for the Roosters.
Yeah. And, mate, off the back of this, the players that are most positively and negatively impacted. So as you said, when we're looking at these softer and hard draws, it tends to be attacking players. As you said, you see upside in fullbacks, halfbacks, CT dubs. CT dubs are the big one. I know you've got a bit of a point. We spoke in the green room about certain CT dubs and being matchup proof, but who are the players that are the winners and losers out of this?
Yeah, and I think if you want a more detailed breakdown on that big old caveat for the CTWs, head to the SC Playbook website as well, because I did a big write-up on the changing strategy for CTW for head-to-head. It is important, but look, we're here to find some fun pods for people, particularly if you can't afford the likes of Herbie Farnworth. You get some guys who, on the right day... Yeah, it was, mate. So make sure you're really listening here, because there could be some gold here for you. The first guy to talk about with their good draw is Souths. And when you talk about Souths and attacking players, two guys who stand out are Latrell Mitchell and also Alex Johnston. Now, Latrell, we know what he can do. When he's on song, he can average 80 at fullback. He's goal kicking, so he gets those points, which are good because he doesn't have a huge work rate. But he also sets up a lot of tries. And the beneficiary of a lot of those tries is Alex Johnson. Now, AJ's already got 3 tons for the season. Now, one of them was at fullback, but the other 2 came when Latrell was just feeding him balls so he could cross the line. So as bad as Souths are going this year, as big as their injury toll is, they can still score points. And if they come out and look good in the next couple of weeks, there's a world where you can jump on, get those 2 as a stack, the guy who's not only scoring the tries, but the guy who's getting the try assists, and you could really be a nightmare matchup.
And there's still big injury toll, but a lot of backline players, outside of Cam Murray, their pack's looking pretty good. So there's no reason why they can't get a bit of momentum that Latrell just feeds off. So feasts on, I should say. Yeah, who else?
I like the Sharks attacking side. And I mentioned before, their good run actually starts next week. So they've got the Roosters this week, and then they've got really soft games from 21 through to 25. They have a bye in 25, which is really important, again, just to make sure you've got the trades where if you go big on this team, you've got an ability to have a bit of an exit plan. But apart from the guy who's playing like a future immortal at the moment in Blake Brailey, the Sharks have got a number of noted attackers. The big one that I really, really like, and you own him, which does frighten me a little bit, is Britton Nakora.
He's flying.
He is. And he scored 80 on the weekend. He had a brilliant try assist. But this is a guy who everyone says, yeah, Britton Nakora, he's attack reliant. Mate, I'll give you the hot tip. With this draw, he's going to find attack. So just to mention it again, the Sharks, they play the Dragons and the Titans in the first 2 weeks of head-to-head finals. He could conceivably average well over 80 in those 2 matchups and be a VC option or a C option. So I really, really like him. The thing that goes with the Sharks attackers as well, and of course there's those little bit more wild card ones, a very cheap Ronnie Mulatalo at the moment. Whoever's going to be playing left centre in Sifatalakai or Mawene Hiroti, because I don't think KL Iro's back at 26. Some spicier options in Jesse Ramey or Sione Katoa. But for me, the big one is Nico Hines. And Hines versus Hughes, huge deciding factor for me when I have to make that decision eventually, which could be the week that we're watching this clip. It could be this matchup.
Yes, well, I hope you haven't put the mocker on Britton Nikora saying that he got 80 on the weekend. We'll see how this ages over the course of the weekend when we do plug it into the show next week. But Maxi, good little summary there, and I think invaluable for certainly the head-to-head players out there. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate. There's plenty more players as well, so make sure you check out the article on the website. If you're subscribers as well, if you're after thoughts on your particular team, some trades you can make, hit me up in the WhatsApp, and I've always got time to help you win your head-to-head leagues.
Thanks to Maxi for that one, and hopefully that can get you on the right track with your head-to-head finals, planning your final trades this season. Alrighty, hot topics for the show. Number 1 most traded in player, boys. Spy, we avoided it for about half an hour, but Dylan Edwards, 763k, an 81-point average this season, a negative 18 break-even. Possibly kicks goals this week. We think he may. Are you biting the bullet, or are you're going to be stubborn and avoid him and look elsewhere? What's the thoughts?
Normally I'm stubborn and avoid. I hate chasing something that I could have got last week. I'm finding it very difficult not to get him. There's every chance he's still goal kicks. I had a quick look before. He's accumulating 40-odd points in runs, 20 in tackle bust. He makes his tackles and offload. That's already 70. Add in a few goal kicks against lesser sides at different stages. That's 90 before he does anything.
Yeah.
So it's sort of hard not to.
I don't see how you can't not own him, to be honest, with the run that he's got coming up. I mean, he should have got on last week when he had that easy matchup. Last week he had a month of basically dream matchups. Now you've got 3 weeks of dream matchups, potentially with the goal kicking. And if you own Cleary, then it sort of cancels each other out with the goal kicking, which a lot of people do. So, yeah, for me, he'd be captain this week up against the Tigers.
I could do it if he wasn't goal kicking. And like if he wasn't, I'd probably just go straight to Nathan Cleary and you go, all right, historically he's a better Supercoach player and has been for a long time than Dylan Edwards if the goal kicking was there. But if Edwards is goal kicking, and obviously we'll try and get some information throughout the week, but a little stat in I believe last weekend was the first game this season that Edwards featured without Cleary. Last year though, games without Nathan Cleary, Dylan Edwards averaged 90 points in 11 games. This season, in games with Nathan Cleary last year, he averaged 78 points in 6 games. So not actually that different. It's less, of course, but you add the goal kicking duties to that, and now that he will be playing with Cleary, if he does keep goal kicking, then it makes him pretty damn hard to ignore, Spy.
I'll give you 2 scenarios. One is, I was speaking to you before the show, if you get him now, in a couple of weeks, he's going to be worth 900 plus. For you boys with trades, that's huge, because then you can, if you want, you can then flip him to anyone in the whole competition. Make money if you need it. If Cleary's back in goal kicking and killing it, you can flick him to Cleary, easy, or you can keep him. There's no stress. For people with no trades, that's harder because you can't really afford to flick on. I'm at the point where I can almost afford just to do this. I've got like 7 trades before this week. So that's one to keep in mind. The other one is you've got your stats with and without Cleary, but the game plan does change with Cleary. That's obviously noticeable. It all goes through Nath. What I would say this year is Nath Cleary is playing a lot tighter and he's opening up space for his outside men. Guess who that is? It's Dylan Edwards. So yeah, it's just scary because, I mean, I'm going to find everything I can to try and go against Edwards, but it's difficult. And even if he gets through the Tigers matchup, scoring 60 or 70, which would be like a minor miracle with that work rate, plays the Titans next week. He could score 200. There's no doubt about it. And your season's done if you're on the back end of that.
If he only had one of these matchups, because you're right, Spy, after the next 2 weeks, which are very soft, the run gets really hard. If he had one of these soft ones, I'd go, screw it, I'm going to go elsewhere. And there's a few decent enough options, but with 2 of them, you go, could be 150.
Yeah, but I'm thinking 2-3 week play with a mind to maybe sell. Just see what's happening.
Number 2.
That's basically worst case scenario, unless he gets injured, obviously, which could happen with him, and he is quite injury prone. But yeah, worst case scenario, you're looking at making 150k and then see what happens for your head-to-head finals.
Yep. Number 2, Payne has 727k, returns from a rest last week, managing some niggling injuries, but has all season, 88 point per game average, a 92 break even. Did you hold Haas? Tommy is in your plans. What are you thinking?
I've held him through the whole in Origin period, so glad to see him back.
Right. So you've got 10 trades in the bank prior to this week, obviously, and you held Cleary and Haas.
That's right, yeah.
Tidy.
Yeah, what I like with Haas this year, I would have liked him to have played, obviously.
Ideally.
But what I like is that in the past, they've just worked him into the ground every single year. Giving him these couple of weeks off is just good for Payne Haas, and I think he'll come back and he'll fire and he'll play pretty big minutes, and he'll just be full on Payne Haas for the rest of the season without having to hold back at all. So if you don't own Haas, absolutely get him in. I'm glad that I don't have to make that trade this week, but it's a pretty easy trade. Most people have Kaloa Matangi or Tino. You just go straight to Haas.
Plenty of options.
Yeah, it's really easy if you didn't have to get Edwards.
Anywho, well, I think we're all in agreement. Payne Haas a must-have. Nathan Cleary, third most trade in, 727k, 76 point per game average, a 77 break even. Tommy, you're very well set up at the moment with those top 3 most traded in players. You're laughing.
Yeah.
Spy, Nathan Cleary, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I really like him, but Edwards has now emerged. Thing with Edwards as well, we weren't sure if he was healthy after Origin. Clearly he is. Yeah. Like, that was one of my question marks as well. Cleary's interesting, right? If he doesn't goal kick for a couple of weeks, he could still score well, but we know his output's been just marginally down this year with his sort of role playing in tighter and unleashing his outside men. Still going very well, though. Probably the pick of the halves, but I mean, are you really going to sell a Hughes or Hines to him? I don't think so. I don't think that's the option at this stage until we make sure that he is healthy. Would like to see him goal kicking. And by that stage, their run gets real tough. So I'm of a mind to see if we can get through mainly that Titans game, cross those fingers, and antipod Nathan for the run home. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not advising people just antipod Nathan, but I think there's an option to not rushing in, given the quality in his position.
So, put it this way. if you weren't getting Dylan Edwards in this week, maybe you can't afford it. And I know their price isn't that different, but maybe it's just the way your team's worked out. I'd be getting Nathan Cleary, and I'd be trying to offset a little bit the non-Dylan Edwards factor. There's a question coming in from Adam Sargent saying, more stat-based, but is Cleary in a void this week? He averages 71 against the Tigers and 65.3 at CommBank Stadium. Says it keeps my last boost in reserves with 9 trades. So, look, I think if you can get Cleary and Edwards this week, I say do it, Tommy.
Look, those CommBank Stadium stats for Cleary are a little bit skewed because it hasn't been their home ground until this year. So I'd say that you can't read too much into that. The other thing I'll point out with Cleary is that he had that one injury-affected game where he scored 3 or 4 or whatever it was. Other than that, his low score is in the mid-50s this year. I would argue that he's been probably more consistent this year without having those huge scores that he's had in the past.
Less massive spikes, but you're right.
Only 2 tons. So I still think that Cleary's a great purchase, goal kicking or not. Doesn't matter. You just got to own him and Edwards and it's fine.
Yeah, I do too.
To clarify it, excellent purchase. Absolutely no issues, but there is a world where you might be able to avoid. Like, we don't have to say every week, just do this and do this. Like, if you want to get away from the crowd, sure, have a look at something different. So he's on my watch list the next couple of weeks because I've got Edwards and Haas to get in, so he has to be. That
CommBank game as well just took heaps longer ago than I thought, but he had a 4-point in 18-minute game. That was when he was sent off against Parramatta at CommBank. So obviously more CommBank games this year, but that would be skewed as a result of that 4-pointer as well. Next on the list, number 5, Blake Brailey, 702k, a 66-point average, a break-even of 11. Tommy, in a position where it had been somewhat null and void this season and a bit of a bludger, you could call it, Blake Brailey has just exploded. 3 tons in his last 5 games. He's averaging early 50s in base across his last 5 weeks since he's been clearly given this licence to run the ball. Why it's taken his entire career to be, say, run the ball, you're good at it, I don't know. Hasn't he just become the one at number 9?
Yeah, it's interesting at the Sharks because all the chat around there is like, does Nico run this team? Does Trindle run this team? And over the last 5 weeks or so, it's clear that neither of them run that team. Blake Brailey now runs that side. I wish I got on 5 weeks ago or even a couple of weeks ago when people were picking up Connor Watson after Origin. Hooker is a position that I don't want to go too hard in, and I've got Connor Watson there. Having said that, you wouldn't be selling another hooker for him, but you could be selling Keon Kaloa-Matangi to him or Tino if you've got the right jewels like Kalani Going, for example, or a lot of people have Karen McInnes. Look, if I'm replacing Keon, I'm going to go big upside with someone like Lomax. I want someone at centre wing. I want to stack that spot, or you can use your flex to get someone like Dylan Edwards. Do I want to be going high upside at hooker? Probably not. So I'll be avoiding him, but it's a tough avoid because he's obviously being on fire.
I'm doing the same, mate. I'm going to avoid. I've got Harry Grant there who, look, I'm happy with at the moment. Not setting the world alight, but I think he's set for a big finish to the year. And I'm with you. It's not the position I want to attack, but I mean, the numbers are hard to deny at the moment. Spy, I'm pretty good at ignoring the past when it comes to Supercoach and just looking at the now. The idea of Blake Brailey, who's been around for a long time, he's always been a minute man, he's never been Supercoach relevant. It's changed. I get that. But I'm struggling to, at this time of the year, when I've already got my hooking spot sorted, getting Brailey in at 702k. But look, the difference is the role has changed. He's been given this license to run more. The output is different. I can't knock anything he's doing. So for anyone that owns like Watson or Grant at hooker, if you want to make Brailey your second hooker, I don't have any major knock.
You and I are very similar in that we don't like doing something that's just happened. Like, well, is this really going to stick? Most of the time it doesn't. This time it bloody well did. 4 tons essentially in 5 weeks is absurd. And how good's he look? Like, he's just killing it. I remember saying to you, I think I said it the last 3 weeks, but the coaches actively said about a month ago, or a quote came out, they've told me to run more. They want me to really take the line on. I'm like, oh, that's perked my interest, but I didn't have the nads to get on board, unfortunately.
Yeah, number 6, Paddy Carrigan, 579k. He's dual front row, second row forward, 68-point average, 64 break even. Sangster, this one surprised me a bit. He's rock solid, and look, maybe it's just me chasing upside and excitement, but it seems like a boring option, doesn't it?
A really boring option. And Rob had it in his article today that he hasn't scored a try or got a line break this year, I think is the stat. So you're not going to get attacking stats from him. It's boring. He's relatively cheap. Like, he's cheaper than a lot of the other guys. But the guy who should be really high on the list, who's not for whatever reason, I've got no idea what it is, Hamoli or Locker R2 should be number 2 or 3 on the list. Like, Pat Carrigan shouldn't be on the top 10 list this week.
Ola, I mean, you can tie both of them in by Olaquatu and Carrigan. Ola, I mean, you've been killing it earlier in the year. Manly have a tough run of games coming up. So Doggies, into Roosters, into Raiders. Back from injury. What are your thoughts on that pair?
I owned Olaquatu right up until the injury, and he was a funny one this year. I couldn't quite figure him out. Some days he looked like they couldn't tackle him. Others looked like he was just rolling up field, but with not much punch. Others he'd ball play like Cherry Evans. I'm like, what are we getting? It led to, what have we got here? 1, 2, 3 tons, some 80s and 90s. So it went really well, but we've seen a 42 there and a couple of 46s. That's my concern with him. We don't know if we're going to get 105 or a 43. And at this time of year, I find that a little bit hard to trust. And I also never trust Manly. Honestly, they go down and beat Melbourne and look like world beaters this week. Yeah. They could lose by 40. They kill me.
What I like about a Locker R2 is that Tom Trbojevic is playing right centre outside him.
Handy.
And so he's going to attract so many players, and a Locker R2 can just...
They are going to get so much ball on that right edge, aren't they?
No, you've talked me into him.
Yeah. I like it. If I just don't own Lomax and I've got Lomax slightly ahead, I really like a Locker R2. I just do not understand. I think he's 15th on the most purchased list this week. Now that people have seen that he's named and he's definitely back, then I think he's going to go through that list a fair bit.
I owned him as well. I was a very happy owner. Would have happily kept him the entire season prior to injury. I'm with you, Spy, though. I just want to see how he comes back. Like, how fit is he? Has he been rushed back? Has Manly tried to make finals? What level's he at? Put it this way, I'm going to have like a Tino or a Dill Lucas or a Keon or someone sitting there. Watch him a week and then you can make the move sideways next week.
That's another reason we're similar. I hate bringing blokes back after injury because you just don't know how they are. Are they, as you said, are they actually healthy? Are they rushing? You just don't know. So I hate doing it. It's almost like a reset for me until they've played a game and you go, all right, yeah, they are back.
But is he a better buy than Pat Carrigan, which is my original point? I think he is.
Yes.
I reckon it'll be the same. I reckon Carrigan will get 70, 70, 70, 70, 70, and Olaquatu will get 100, 70, 40. So it probably works out the same, to be honest.
Yeah, but when the Broncos are playing, you'll be able to go outside, put the washing on the line, get the firewood, do that sort of stuff, and you come back and Carrigan's made a few more tackles and had a few more runs. Like, meh. Ola, you can't do that because he could have scored a hat-trick. He might have done absolutely nothing, but you need to watch.
Yep. And in saying that, if I knew he was healthy, it's Olaquatu, but we don't.
Well, I think Ola's a better buy, but wait till next week. Most traded out. Look, the top 6 are highly owned injured players, so I don't need to touch on that. I just want to chat about one. Number 9, Mark Nwanganita-Waze, 668k, 71 point per game average. He's hit back-to-back 30s, a break-even of 159, so there's still value there at the 668k. Sangster, when we sat at the Playbook Day at the footy a couple of weeks ago and he turned up, he just looked like a must-have. That's changed.
Look, I find it, it has, but I find it a bit shocking that he is so high on the sell list. And you look at the sell list this week, there's so many Roosters. It makes sense on some of them. But for Teddy, he's just a grade of Supercoach. I know it's a pretty tough run, so he's got the Storm, into the Seagulls, into the Dolphins, into the Dogs. It's about as tough a run as you can get in Supercoach.
Sorry, Teddy or Nwanganita-Waze?
I'm talking about Teddy now.
Oh, well, Teddy was 7th most traded and Marky Mark was 9th. So,
my argument stands for both of them, really. It's a tough run coming up. Marky Mark, I like seeing in the centres more than on the wing, and I think that Sam Walker is an issue for him.
Yeah.
I own Marky Mark, and if I didn't have these injuries to Tino and Keon, I would consider selling, but I just don't want to do it this week.
His Marky Mark's plays one where initially when I saw him this highly traded out, I went like, why? Like, just keep him and play him on matchup. Because there are some soft matchups. Like, they play the Bunnies on the run home. They play the Eels. They've got the Dolphins at Suncorp, which is right. They've got Manly, which is neither here nor there. But then I was like, it can facilitate some pretty big moves this week if you do sell him. So, look, I think he's a hold and play a matchup, especially if you're low on trades. If you do have sort of 8, 9, 10 plus trades, I get it.
I wonder if I can get to Haas via Noongar Nitawase.
I can do some weird shit this week.
And hold on to
I don't want to do, but
I could get weird this week. A couple of strong caveats on Maki Noongar Nitawase. St George game 2 weeks ago. They totally swapped edges on Saints were conceding all down the right-hand side, their left-hand defence, and Roosters destroyed the other edge. They just went in with a game plan via Billy Smith and Tupou and went bang, bang, bang. And Marky didn't see much footy. It's just how it was that night. Last week, Sharks have the best defence in the comp against his position. So that's hardly a shock. So it's like, okay, well, you've had one weird week where the game plan just didn't suit, which can happen to wingers, and he's not a big workhorse, which is a shame. And last week was basically what I expected. Melbourne's not ideal.
Melbourne twice.
But if he's your 5th, 6th centre, you're playing against Manly, Dolphins, Para, South.
Yeah.
That could be an average of 110, you know what I mean? So tying into Teddy, though, Teddy looks shot at the moment. All his power and energy seems gone. So it's like you need Teddy firing in order to get Marky firing. Sandon Smith back on that right-hand side is good because Chad's not offering much at the moment, with all respect to him. There's a bit to unfold here. He could have some real big scores left in him, but I can understand why you might want to move him on.
Teddy, prior to last week, and I agree, he looked gassed and, I don't know about injured. He just looked like he needed a week off.
Tired. Just something.
But, like, he scored 37, as you said, against, they're up and down, but a generally good defensive outfit in the Sharks. Yep. Prior to that, like, his lowest score, he got a 65 back in round 7. He had a 43 in round 1.
Here's what I'll say,
He's
though.
had a bad score all year.
Here's what I'll say. Week before against Saints, Fit Teddy scores 150 against them. He already did earlier in the year. 130-odd. 84, which included the try assist on the buzzer. Got him from 60-odd to 84. The match we were at, he was on 42 with 4 seconds left and he crashed over. So he's not far off going 40, 60, 27 or so, or 37. 37 with a try last week, someone said before, that's incredible. He's not the Teddy we know, so I considered selling him this week, but I'm not really in a position to do that anymore.
I guess the big question is, and it's what a lot of people are doing, the reason that he is so popular is because Dylan Edwards is so popular. And a lot of people are thinking Dylan Edwards is a must more than should I sell James Tedesco.
Yeah, Edwards to Teddy to Edwards, it's fine for 2 weeks, and if you've got a lot of trades, go for it. If you are low on trades, I want Teddy for the run home more than I want Dylan Edwards.
I'm worried about Teddy. That's all I'll say. Okay. But I love Teddy and I want him to come good. So we'll see.
Guys and girls, the end of the financial year has just passed, which means it's time to get your finances sorted. If you haven't done it since listening to this podcast for the last month, you're an idiot. For any of our tradie listeners out there in particular, end of financial year, it's the time to look at asset financing for some new tools and equipment, maybe even a new work truck if that bank account is looking good enough. You might even be looking to get into your first home or refinance your current home loan to save some cash. Having a conversation with Paddy and the Mortgage Choice SCW team can make a huge difference in helping people get into the housing market for the first time. So turn that dream into reality. Get the conversation started to understand your position by reaching out to Paddy and his team. Start asking a few questions to find out how exactly you can get into your first home. Normally, that'd sting you $129, but mention SC Playbook when you reach out, and it's completely free of charge. Flick them a message on Instagram at mortgagechoice_SCW or give them a buzz on 02 9521 1611, no matter where you are in Australia. Trade plans. Spy, what are you thinking?
Oh, God. Who knows? However, this is where I've currently landed as of Tuesday at whenever we started this podcast. Very reluctant Papenhuyzen sell to Dylan Edwards. But in order to do that, I can no longer get Payne Haas, which really annoys me. I can get Payne Haas next week, no dramas. I'm just going to get through this weekend. Hopefully plays 40 minutes because they're pumping the Eels. In order to do that, I need to downgrade Dylan Lucas. But I sort of want someone who's playable. And I've stumbled across... I've got to shout out Josh Colajuri again. I peppered him the other week. He actually mentioned this to me. I had a look. Teague Wilton. He's down to $486,000 on the back of an injury. He can be my 6th back rower, which would actually be 5 Voltino's out, but is what it is, and I can flip blokes around. So it's not like I'm buying him where I have to play him every week. But the run the Sharks have coming up, if he's a 60 average back rower with point scoring, try scoring potential, I think South, Cowboys, St George and Gold Coast should see him average even 70 plus. And I play him all 4 weeks while my boys get healthy, and then hopefully by then Tino's back and he can just sit there as needed. So in order to facilitate Haas next week and not have to keep downgrading dudes, he looks a good option. I don't mind. I was having a look at Isaiah Yeo, but it's cutting it very fine next week on Haas, which I can't afford to do. I don't want to be 2K short on Haas and have to make another trade. Because doing this, Haas next week would leave me 4 trades in hand. And I've basically got the side I want. I could have a look at Cleary and stuff, but it gives me those 4 to play with, which I think could be huge. Is Teague Wilton a decent answer as a bit of a backup, stopgap, that draw?
I like it in your situation. However, because you're a bit lower on trades, and as you don't want to play with fire with paying Haas for next week and have to use 2 trades. I do, however, think there's better buys in Isaiah Yeo for a little bit more. There's, he's sort of closer to 100k more, but Angus Crichton. But that being said, Crichton and Teague Wilton, they might not end up that differently. I think Isaiah Yeo's a better buy, though, for a little bit more cash, but you're in a weird sort of situation.
I'm just risking it. I think just given that run, that's if 2 or 3 of those sides were tough, I wouldn't even consider.
He runs at Lewis Dobb this week.
It's a dream matchup.
Off Nico.
Yeah, come on, Nico.
Sorry, not off
Trindle,
Nico,
but
off Trindle.
They'll be floating, putting him in space. So I think, he might just do the job for me, boys. Get him in.
Tommy Sangster, what are you thinking?
Look, I'm thinking mid-ranges as well, which is very rare.
Yeah, I know, right?
Very, very rarely go mid-ranges.
Weird at this time of year.
But so I've mentioned my trades already. I'm nuffing out Kalama Matangi to Miles Martin, which just happens to suit my team. And then Lomax will be in for Fa'as Mawali. The thing that I haven't, you'll see here that there's a third trade and I've got a boost, so I can pull it off. I've got Munster out this week and I don't want to play King Tongia.
Yeah.
So Lockie Galvin, King Tongia up to Lockie Galvin. That's around 90k.
Yeah.
He sunk my Dragons on the weekend. I love watching him play. He's young and he's wild and he's loose and he can't run a team right now, but he tries absolutely everything, and I think that he can get some big scores in the run home just because he is so wild and he's always going to back himself. So at 440 odd K, he can play this week in place of Munster, and then I can play him in matchups.
Perfect matchup play, right?
Yeah.
I like it.
440 odd K, he's a 600k player.
Yeah,
mate, I had him locked as my downgrade before all this chaos.
Yeah.
I was going to go Chanel Harris Davida to him for 200k. I'm like, how good's this? Now I'm stuck with Chanel, but he'll do the job for me. He always does.
I went Dill Brown to Tanner Boyd last week to free up cash for this week. But yeah, I think I like the Lockie Galvin play. Matty the Waterboy. We've brushed you a bit this episode, mate. We've been yarning, but what do you got?
That's okay, mate. So I actually had a boost in the bank, so I'm going to use that this week. It's actually come at a really nice time. Colin Matangi out, Lehigh Hopewadi out, Ronaldo Mulatalo out, Hudson Young in, Jacob Kiraz in, and Jethro in. I was going to get rid of Karapani, but you told me before the show he's got a good run. I know Ronaldo's playing South this week, and they could win by 50, and then he's got an easy run, but he hasn't. Ever since I got Ronaldo, and he's done nothing for me. So, yep.
I reckon I'm going to play Karapani. I don't reckon I am. I'm playing him over Nwanganita Wazi this week.
Well, there you go.
The matchup's unreal.
So, yeah, he's staying firm in my team for now.
Without question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm not even doubting it. Spy, look, we won't go on for too long about this, but I have multiple different trade plans this week, and I don't know which one I'm going with.
This list.
I know, yeah.
There's 20 players on there. More.
Yeah.
That's longer than my email to Sangster.
Yeah. So that's not all from today, by the record. The top bit is just the updates for today. But my options are, and look, I think you've both talked me into Dill Edwards and just biting the bullet and not being too proud, but I can go an option of Papenhuyzen to Edwards, and then a Lucas to Angus Crichton, or a Teague Wilton or an Isaiah Yeo.
Yeah, one of those boys.
One of those guys to free up cash. I can do... I need to double check this.
You can hopefully do.
I think I can do Mark Nwanganita Waze to Haas. I don't think I can do Pap to Edwards and Marky Mark to Haas. I'll double check that.
If you could, that'd be phenomenal.
That'd be pretty tasty. The one that I have flirted with prior to how often about you blokes were about Edwards, Lucas to Haas, and then Papenhuyzen to Walsh.
We were talking Walshy pre-show.
Honestly, he just...
It's always so tempting.
They've got they've got some good runs at the games on the run home, the Broncos. They've got the Eels at Suncorp this week, then the Bunnies at Suncorp. Melbourne at Amy Park, that's a tough one. Dolphins at Suncorp, sweet. The Knights away. The Cowboys up in Queensland. And I just, again, it's hard. Like, if Adam Reynolds goes down or anything happens to him as well, all of a sudden he'll be a goal kicker as well. I did have some stats around Maurice Walsh as well, if I can find them. So, since returning from injury in round 14, he's averaging 80 points per game in 4 fixtures. He averaged 75 last year. That elevated to 81 per game if you disregard his game of 4 minutes. And he averaged 80 points per game in 2023. Spy, I know Edwards makes more sense, but he's also 100k more. What are your thoughts on Reece Walsh?
I owned him for the first 6 weeks. This current Broncos outfit, they share the load a lot. A lot of the footies just go through Walsh out the back. It doesn't always happen now. It was quite frustrating to watch, to be honest. So he concerned me. But look, that was 2-3 months ago. If he's starting to get more footy, I didn't watch super closely him in the last couple of weeks, but if he's starting to get more footy, he's healthy, having not played Origin. He's pretty tempting. But Edwards just has that. You lock in 70 and then see what he can do. Whereas Walsh is like, you lock in 15.
I know.
And then he can get
I know.
anything
He's exciting, but he's terrifying.
I mean, Ezra Mam has been really good since he came back. Plus, prior to that, Ben Hunt was doing really well. So I feel like the 5'8" is doing a lot at Broncos this year.
Yep.
There's a little bit less for Reece Walsh.
Cleary instead of Walsh, would that fit? Or instead of Edwards, could you go that?
I could do Cleary and Haas, definitely.
Yeah, that's an option as well.
If we had news Cleary was kicking, I would do that.
If I got news Cleary was kicking, I'd take him.
Yeah.
And to be clear from earlier in the show, I think Cleary is a great buy.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at my options around
Yeah,
here.
sorry. If we get word Cleary is kicking, it'll be him and Haas.
There you go.
Skipper's spy.
Who knows? I'm just blowing up still. No, I'm pretty happy with this. I think Drinky VC, is that Friday night versus the Red V? It's up in 6 o'clock game Friday in Townsville. Doesn't get much better than that. Jackson Purdue out of the halves is huge for Drinkwater.
Yeah.
So Drinkwater VC into Dylan Edwards, Sadiavo looks pretty set at the moment, I think.
Tommy?
Yeah, I do like Drinkwater. I do prefer it when Clifford's in the team.
True.
I believe he's not there. They've brought in
Dufty,
playing
yeah.
5'8" this week. But yeah, I do like it. And whenever you can watch the game, like you're saying, you're watching the
young
6 o'clock
fella.
games with your son. That's just gold.
Yeah.
So if you've got a little reason, a personal reason to lock it in, then
And he got a Scotty
go for it.
Drinkwater card the other day, so I can be like, that's Scotty Drinkwater.
Exactly. So in your case, 100% lock that in.
Yeah.
I got Tedesco as VC for now. I'm not sure if I'll follow through.
Do
It's
not.
against the Storm, but it's at Allianz Stadium.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe I'll switch it up to Drinkwater, but Edwards as captain is 100%
Yep.
locked in.
Yeah.
Up against the Tigers.
I reckon Drinky's way better VC than Teddy personally.
Wouldn't it be nice to see Teddy come out just being Teddy this Thursday?
Has
Yeah.
But
When the Storm lose, they're so good the next week.
Oh,
yes.
Particularly when it's
Unbeatable.
a real rough loss like it was
Against
last
their
week.
rivals at home.
Yeah, so he's going to be a pod player's VC, that's for
And
sure.
I'm telling you, though, Teddy has looked flat. His tackle bust numbers and that would be down, but could turn on a dime. He might have been buggered.
Drinky VC for me, and if he does end up coming in, Dill Edwards captain. If Cleary would a goal kick and I brought him in, I'd probably captain him. It's a bit annoying being after the Panthers play, but Nico Hines against a depleted Bunnies.
I forgot about Nico.
Yes. He's really tempting me. So I could go like a VC on, say, a Penrith player, go Edwards or Cleary or whoever. Nico, Saturday night, 7:35. It's in Gosford, I believe.
Yeah, if it was at
Bunnies
Shark
got no
Park,
Sharp Park, I'd lock it in, I reckon.
Mate, Gosford screams points to me. Always think of Manu's demolition job. So
What's the weather like in Gosford? I'll check for you.
Yeah.
I've totally forgot about Nico. I've
Yeah.
got to reassess this.
I've just been burnt by him not as a captain, but as a VC a few times this year. So
He's more risky this year.
He is.
Absolutely. He
I know
is.
I know he had the big one a few weeks ago, but that ceiling just has not really been there this year.
It's raining Saturday night in Gosford.
Okay, noted.
Quite heavily.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Boys, few questions before we wrap it up. First one for you, Spy from Philip. It's a good question. What feature from other fantasy sport competitions would you like to see added to Supercoach? So he says, e.g. for fantasy Premier League players out there, chips. So they have you can triple captain 1 week of the year. They have bench boosts where all your bench players play. There's probably, in FPL, there's only 3 players on the bench or 4 or something, so it's a bit easy to do. But anything that comes to mind?
Firstly, Tommy, it's 2 to 8 mils on Saturday, mate. It's not pouring.
Hammering down.
Spies, City people, and I sit with Guru every week and have the same conversation. They have no concept of rain and amounts of rain.
I look at the percentages only.
You like 90%.
50% chance.
Could be bad.
100%
Could
chance
be
it's
bad.
0 to 1 mil. Going to be wet, boys. And you're right, it will.
I'll give you 2 in answer to your question. I'll give you one I love and one I hate. And I thought English Premier League fantasy because I think they do a really good job, especially for someone who's on the other side of the world and just wants to set aside and let them go. One, I love that you can accumulate trades. So at the start of the season, you got your 2 trades in hand. If you didn't trade for 3 weeks at any point, you can accumulate 5 in EPL. You don't want to go like 10 and stuff. That's a bit rogue. But if you're patient, I'm going to hold off because I want to utilise this next week. You could do 4 or 5 and bank them, which is pretty cool. I really like that. If anyone here knows anyone that, controls Supercoach. And the one I hate, though, is triple captain because it's just...
Too much.
It's such an element of luck and, seasons... half hinge on it. I don't think that's fair in 80 minutes just to do a triple captain. As fun as it is, I think it's too much in my opinion.
Let us know, guys, in the comment section if you play any other fantasy sports or anything around Supercoach. Let us know in the comment section on YouTube or on the social post, whatever. If there's anything you'd like to see added to the game, and I'm sure Tommy will scroll through them, jot them all down, and take note of them. So
100%.
let us know.
Feedback is crucial. So send it through.
Feedback is king. Next question from Luke Stedman, Sangster. Is it too late to go to Harry Grant?
Look, if I was going to get a hooker this week, it would probably be Brailey, put it that way. I don't want to go too hard at hooker. I don't want 2 gun hookers, put it that way. So I'd probably be avoiding. But, it's Harry Grant. I think he's underachieved this year, so he could come storming home.
Yeah, look, I think Blake Brailey's shown that he's probably the number 1 hooker for the run home. But for what it's worth around, the not scoring that well of late, Harry Grant, there might have been something 2 weeks ago, but even on the weekend, he had a try that he scored and sort of summed up my weekend. And he went over untouched, essentially. I'm like, they went upstairs. I'm like, this can't be taken back up. What could he possibly have done wrong? And Nelson Solomona elbowed someone in the head and it got called back for a penalty. I'm like,
so tough.
It's so Nelson as well.
Oh, so Nelson. So for what it's worth, I still think Harry's a great buy. And if you need that extra 100-odd K that, cheaper than Blake Brailey, I still like the trade if you need a hooker. But if you can find that extra 100K, Blake Brailey looks
it's that whole inform thing, isn't it? Like, Brailey's inform if you get him, but Harry's got pedigree.
Spy, 1 from Jack Murdoch. Pick 2 for the run home, please. Yo, Carrigan, Nanai, who we haven't spoken about, and Angus Crichton.
Gee, there's nothing between at least 3 of them. I haven't looked at Nene, admittedly, but I think Yo, Carrigan and Crichton could all average within 4 points of each other. I don't think it matters, but... who's got the upside there? Yo's got a try in him. Strong ball carry near the line. Carrigan will get he'll just get 70 every week with the try assist possibility, but not much of it. And who is the other one outside Nate? Crichton. I think you have to take Crichton because he can score tries. So Crichton and Yo, I'd take.
I'm saying I'd go Crichton then just Yo behind. I've got a gap to the other 2, to be honest. Tommy Sangster, Harry Cash. I don't know if you own him. You probably don't if you're paying Haas owner. Is Adam Fanua-Blake a sell or a waste of a trade?
Look, I was thinking of selling him. I have been for a few weeks, and then injuries have come along. So I think I'll end the season with him now. But, if you don't have injuries and you've somehow avoided Keon and Tino and whoever else, potentially. But, equally, it's Adam Fanua-Blake, and he's not going sensationally in the last 5 weeks. I think he's averaging mid-50s over the last 5.
Yeah.
So it's not great, but he's the sort of guy who can he scores a try. He's the sort of guy who scores tries in runs as well. So gets one this week. He could get one next week and then come home strong.
I had him pegged as I played him for his 200th game last week, thinking he'd get up for, not that he didn't get up for it, but thinking the big score was incoming. And I don't know if there's a niggle or something there, but he doesn't look at his explosive best at all. Hasn't been offloading, all sorts of things. So busting bugger all tackles. So look, I was looking to sell, but with everything else going on, I'm like, at least he's playing to start. So I'll be holding on, but I'm going to try not to play him as often as possible. And Spy, the last question for tonight's show, one from Nashy. Who scores more on the run home out of Scott Drinkwater and Jerome Hughes?
Woo. How's the Cowboys run home? Any idea?
It's mixed. It's all right.
I've got it here now. Let's have a quick look. That's a great question. Saints, huge. Got Parra in 2 weeks. Tigers, Brisbane. Or I'm gonna say Drinky edges him. Yeah, that's like, who knows?
I like
Who
Drinky.
knows?
I
I really like Jerome Hughes, and he can go mental late as well, but he's got a lower floor, typically speaking, in my opinion. I know Drinky has the odd shocker, but I think if he's got his correct spine in position, he's all right with goal kicking. And Melbourne don't have the easiest run, so it's like, yeah.
I'm Drinky, for sure. I've got some good stats around.
I'll go the drink man.
Yeah. Tell me.
Hughes is going to get rested at some stage. Equally, though, Drinkwater's got the buy in the fly around. So at least you know when he's going to be sitting out.
Can plan for
Hughes it could happen at any point.
Yeah. Potentially save a trade for around 27 if you got one up the sleeve. But I like Drinkwater. I've got some good stats around Drinky in the stat deep dive on beers and break evens later on. Spy, I forgot to mention, looking sharp, mate.
Yeah, the new kit. What do you think?
Oh, good.
Fresh.
Fits perfectly. Well done.
Cozy.
Well done. Cozy, yeah, I'd wear it. And that's saying something because I'm very picky.
You are very picky.
Very.
For an unfashionable bloke, you're very picky.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. But nah, you're improving.
I have my moments.
You do.
I'm like, I can go large if I need, but gee, I can pull out some trackies and no shirt as well if needed, as WhatsApp knows.
That's great. Guys, keep an eye in the next couple of weeks. It'll be 2 to 3 weeks' time. We will have our first SC Playbook T-shirt merch drop. That'll be going on sale. So more details of that next week, but put some pennies in the back pocket for that one.
When's the photo shoot just so I can get work off?
Mate, I'll be getting random stats guy for that, not you.
That's fair.
Thanks, Spy.
Definitely fair. Cheers, boys.
Tommy, thanks for coming in tonight, mate.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for tuning in.